Hi everybody, welcome to Paul Bowman's tribute to Hee Haw, television's longest running television show. And we're going to provide you with some of the funniest jokes. They're corny, and we got some pretty girls, and we got some great country music. So here we go, let's get started. Oh, here's the rules first. There are no rules. You can joke, you can stomp your feet, just have a good time. Let's get started.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hee 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 ha ha ha. Hee 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 ha ha ha. We're a grin.
Hey, can you pass this?
Heck, I don't even know if I can swallow it.
I went over to my uncle's house. There he was out in the front porch with his head in the garbage can.
It was.
Yeah, he said it's his head. He could throw it away if he wanted to.
I joined one of those dating websites, but I had to drop out real quick because my first 2 matches were my ex-husbands.
A crisis is when your fortune cookie contradicts your. Wait a minute. I'll get it here. Hold on. A crisis is when your fortune cookie contradicts your horoscope.
Now here's Waylon Jennings music.
This is a ladies' song. Well, I hope that the friend you found yourself with gets drunk and loses his job.
A marriage license is the only license that never expires.
Well, here we are in Cowtown at the Cow Radio Newsroom, and we're going to tell you what's happening in the world and what's going on. Well, forget about what's happening in the world and what's going on. We don't care about that. We have enough excitement right here in Cowtown just to keep us excited and also let us know what's happening. For example, last week down at the church, we had a tremendous thing happen. There was a young man that wanted to sing a few songs to the congregation, so he asked the preacher if he could do that, and the preacher said, "Sure, I'll let you do that at a certain point during the sermon or after the sermon." So it came time for the kid to sing his songs, and he got up on the pulpit there, and nothing happened. And the preacher went over there, and he says, "What's wrong, young man?" He says, he said, I'm nervous." And the preacher said, "Well, look, don't worry about that." He said, let me tell you an old show business trick. He said, what you want to do is look out in the congregation and imagine that everybody is just wearing their underwear. And that'll take away the nerves, and you can start singing. So sure enough, the kid looked out there, and all of a sudden he turned red as a beet. And the preacher says, well, what's the matter now? He said, half of them aren't wearing any underwear. Well, that's a sight I sort of wouldn't want to see, I'll tell you for sure. Now, Sid happens to be the only Jewish fellow we have in our town. Now, Sid had a dream the other night that he died and went to heaven. So he goes up there, and St. Peter is breaking him in, telling him the rules and what have you. And he says, "Sid, you see the house over there?" He said, "You're going to live in that house." And Sid says, "How much does that cost?" And he says, "It's free." "It's free." He said, "Yeah." He said, "It doesn't cost anything." And he said, "You see that restaurant over there?" He said, "That's open 24 hours a day." He said, "You can eat there anytime you want." And Sid says, "Well, how much is that?" He said, "That's free too." And Sid starts shaking his head, and he said, "Wow." And all of a sudden he sees the golf course over there, and he says, "What about that golf course over there?" And St. Peter says, "You can play over there anytime you want, and that's absolutely free too." Sid said, "Really?" Sid woke up, shook his wife, and grabbed her and says, "You old witch, if you hadn't been feeding me at that health food store for all these years, you know that I'd been up in heaven a long time ago and saved a ton of money." Well, it seems like we're having a few sexual problems in our town, too. Homer and Thelma, Homer all of a sudden didn't want to make love to Thelma anymore. And she was all worried and down in the dumps and couldn't figure out why. And finally she got enough nerve to ask Homer why he wouldn't make love to her anymore. He says, "Well, your breasts have gotten too small and too saggy." And she says, "Well, I can fix that. I saw in one of the magazines that I can buy this cream that'll make them bigger again." Homer says, "That's expensive stuff, isn't it?" And she said, "Yeah." He said, "You don't have to do that. Just use toilet paper." And she says, "Homer, what's wrong with you? How is toilet paper going to make my breasts bigger?" He said, "I don't know, but you've been using it on your butt all these years, and look how big it's got." Sight again I wouldn't want to see. And then, of course, George and Betty, they're having problems too. Betty wasn't feeling good, so George took her down to the doctor. The doctor looked at her, and he called them both into his office, and he said, look, he said, the problem with this family, there's just too much lovemaking going on. He looked at George and he says, now, you're going to have to stop this or you're going to kill her. And he looked at her and he says, you're going to have to quit it or you're going to die. So on the way home, the only thing they could think about doing was one of them would have to sleep upstairs and the other would sleep downstairs because they just couldn't keep their hands off each other. Well, this went on for about a month. And then all of a sudden, George couldn't take it anymore. So he starts crawling up the stairs. Halfway up the stairs, he met her. And he says, where are you going? She says, I was going down to die. He says, hell, I was going up to kill you. Another side I wouldn't want to see. And then Tom and Joe there are drinkers in town. I mean, these boys like the sauce, and they like to play golf. And they were playing golf, and of course they tip a little bit at each hole. And they're out there one day going along, and all of a sudden there's two women up in front of them that are going too slow for them. So Joe looks at Tom and says, look, I'm going to go up there and tell them women to get out of the way, that they're too slow and let us pass. And he gets halfway up there and he comes running back white as a sheet. And he says, boy, he says, Tom, he said, I almost got caught. He said, that one woman is my wife. He said, the other is my mistress. And Tom laughed and he said, look, I'll go up there. I'm new around here. He runs up there, got halfway up there, turns around, comes running back white as he says, Joe, it sure is a small world, isn't it? Well, there you are, the Cow Radio News for now.
Here's Janie Stark.
And with a broken wing, she still sings. She keeps an eye on the sky. With her broken wing, she carries her dreams. Then you ought to see her fly.
Liquor is a substance that makes a man feel... Liquor is a substance that makes a man feel single and seal double again. Seal? Liquor is a substance that makes a man see double and feel single.
Where, oh, where are you tonight? Why did you leave me here all alone? I searched the world over and I thought I found true love. You met another and you was gone.
The best form of birth control after 65 is nudity.
Sex must be a sin. Look how parents are punished for it.
My neighbor is so dumb, he watered his garden with moonshine. He wanted to raise stewed tomatoes. Gloom, despair, and agony on me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony on me.
And here's Dan Bell.
That dilly lace and a pretty face, pretty there, hanging down, and a wiggle and a walk and a giggle and a talk. We're gonna make the world go round. Ain't nothing in the world like a big-eyed girl. You act so funny, spend your doggone money. Now be real loose like I love that you like. Whoa, baby, that's what I like.
I understand that you crossed a football with a skunk.
What did I get?
I don't know, but you don't dare kick it.
My friend is so dumb that she thinks that Johnny Cash is money that you're going to find in the commode.
You know, the perfect day is when the sun is shining, the birds are singing, the cool breeze blowing, and the lawnmower's broke.
Diets are for girls that are thick and tired of it.
If a man has enough horse sense to treat his wife like a thoroughbred, she'll never turn into another woman.
Hey, Roy, I heard the doctor told you he didn't like the looks of your wife.
I don't blame you, man. I don't like it either.
She's good.
Here's a song that made Buck Owens a superstar. Well, they're gonna put me in the movie. They're gonna make a big star out of me. We'll make sad and lonely, and all I gotta do is act naturally.
Hey, I'll tell you, Paul,
Yeah? Me too.
and I'm going to tell you again in a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Hey, Paul, I tell you, glasses will do wonders for your vision.
Especially when they've been emptied and filled several times with that good moonshine.
There are more important things in the world than riches, but they all cost money.
Polly's so. Most women don't have a figure for a bikini. They just have the nerve.
Roy, I'm kind of curious. Why did the judge give you 30 days?
Well, he said, you've been brought here for drinking. I said, well, let's get to it. Hey, Paul, didn't you go in front of that same judge?
I went up in front of that same judge, and
You don't have a clue.
No, I
Hey,
do.
Paul.
Yes.
Didn't you go up before that same judge?
I went up in front of that same judge, and he says, "Have you ever been up before me?" And I said, "I don't know. What time do you get up?" And he said, "You know it right in the face."
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
What did you do today?
Nothing.
Didn't you do that yesterday?
Yeah, but it wasn't finished.
Practice makes perfect.